Do you have any idea how long the actual hearing will be?
No, I don't, and I've been asked that, and I would imagine I would, if it went over 2 hours, I'd be very surprised.
I mean, can you can you believe we're just hours away?
It's the night we've been anticipating for months. A judge will give Wendell a verdict. Sheree and, of course, Sophia are at the courthouse in Chongqing. The rest of us are going to be gathered at Antoinette's house in Detroit. I catch up with Sheree before heading over.
For me, right now, it's just like, geez, I was just here for the trial, and I can't believe it's almost a year later, and I'm still here.
Right.
And of course, everyone's hoping for the best, praying for the best.
The best would mean Wendell is released tonight, that the judge will say he's not guilty and release him. Short of that, and perhaps more likely, the judge could say guilty and sentence him to time served. He's already served 2 years. The third scenario is that the judge rules that he's guilty and sentences him to up to 10 years.
How do you see it going after you hear the judgment? I mean, are you just expecting to rush out the door and call Antoinette immediately?
Yes. That is absolutely my plan. If that, or call her from the courtroom.
Okay. I mean, because there's definitely going to be a living room full of people sitting around a phone waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but you're trying to envision how things could go either way, and I think that what I was hoping, and I would love it if, but I didn't want to say anything to anybody, and just hope that you guys keep it between us. I would love it that if possible, that if I can call, I would like it to have his voice be the first voice she hears on the other end.
Wow. Do you think that's a possibility?
If I'm going to try my best.
Wow, that would be, oh my gosh, that just gave me chills.
I just don't know. That's the thing, we just don't know what's going to happen. That's the hard part.
With that, Sheree headed into the courthouse, where a judge would decide Wendell's fate. I'm Matt Liston. This is Game Plan, the Wendell Brown story.
He been holding on strong. So he keep his head up. We gotta keep our head up for him,
So why is he still in jail? And everybody wants to help him. Why is he still sitting in jail? It doesn't make any sense.
She made it into the courthouse. Anyone else won't be allowed in. So apparently it's full.
Dona do lar? Eu sou dona de mim.
Se eu nasci pra casar? Não, eu nasci pra brilhar. Este é o lembrete de L'Oréal Paris para que você nunca se esqueça do seu próprio valor. Porque a sua história é valiosa. Porque você vale muito.
O tráfico, a milícia, a polícia e, no meio disso tudo, as pessoas da Cidade de Deus. Assista a nova série da Max, perfeita para você que ama um podcast de crime. Cidade de Deus, a luta não para. Produzida por Fernando Meirelles, com estreia dia 25 de agosto. Uma história de resistência na favela. Com Roberta Rodrigues, Marcos Palmeira, Alexandre Rodrigues, Andréia Horta e grande elenco. Saiba mais em max.com.
Well, I'm going to pray. I'm going to say a prayer for us.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now.
Let's do it.
After talking to Sheree, I pack up my gear and drive over to Dan Redford's house to kill some time before we head to Antoinette's. We're both looking for ways to ease the tension of the night and our absolute lack of control over the outcome. We decide to say a prayer.
Dear God, thank you for all the blessings that we have in our life. We don't really understand sometimes the plans that you have laid for us. Often they seem cruel and strange, and we have all been languishing for months now in our friend Wendell's case. I believe that there is a purpose and a reason for everything, even though sometimes it's hard to see. We are at a turning point in this narrative.
It calms us down a bit, though nerves are still running high. As the person running point on media, I know that a not guilty verdict is our absolute best option. Anything else will be back to almost square one.
And then it's like if he doesn't come home, though, then it's back to the grind because nobody wants to do the story. After one day, they won't want to touch the story until there's movement again on the story.
Yeah. It just still kills me that the breadth of possibilities here is just
weird, right?
So different. Like what the world looks like to us tomorrow is just couldn't be more different, right? You know, you don't get moments like that often in life.
The game sevens.
Where the world looks completely different than when the sun comes up. And the thing is, like, I don't even really understand it.
Yeah.
Once he gets out of fucking prison, you know, somebody like that needs to be in the world.
Yes.
And we need more Wendell Browns.
Yeah.
You know, someone that cares about his family. And it still defies logic why they don't care, like, that what he was doing in China, like, that also kills me too. I mean, here's a guy that's contributing to an expressed goal of the Chinese government, which is to develop a strong sports economy. And you got a guy there coaching football.
Yeah.
And you're going to put him in prison? It doesn't make any sense. You know?
Yeah.
So many pieces of this don't really add up to me. It's just like it's like that. It's almost like The Terminal, you know, with Tom Hanks, where this guy is in the airport and he's just stuck between the gates and you can see him in plain sight and everyone wants to help him and no one can. Like, that's what I've decided, that's like the analogy I've come to terms with. It's just like, even the Chinese, I haven't met this judge, right? But I think she's just kind of just doing her job. I don't think that she's a bad person. I don't actually think that she wants Wendell to be there anymore because she goes to visit him. She goes to visit him, right? She wants to help him. I want to help him. You want to help him. John wants to help him. So why is he still in jail? And everybody wants to help him. Why is he still sitting in jail? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we've all been working on this for a long time. It'll be good. I got a good feeling. I saw the sun come out of the rain when I walked my dog back. I feel good about it, man.
Well, it's tonight's either going to be this huge celebration, or it's going to be incredibly sad and disappointing.
I know, right? That's the range. Life can be pretty humbling.
Dan and I drive over to Antoinette's house to be with everyone as we wait to hear the final verdict.
Free Wendell tonight.
The house is filled to the brim with family members. The vibe is good, positive. A group of Wendell's aunts, cousins, nieces listen to music and braid each other's hair to pass the time, till we get word from Sheree in China.
The victory is already won, and we're going to celebrate, and he can feel us.
Full of life. Still is full of life.
And he was there doing something good, and that's why we know he's coming home.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't doing nothing to violate nothing.
There's even a local news crew out front. Around 9:30, I check in with Antoinette to see if she's heard anything.
What did Sheree have to say?
She was just saying that she made it into the courthouse. His friend Tim said they are the last group allowed to go in. Anyone else won't be allowed in. So apparently it's full.
Wendell's friends in China are all at the courthouse with Sheree. In Detroit, people are flowing in and out of the house. A former teammate stops by, Carson Butler.
Wendell came over at the same time, and we went over there just to play ball, man.
Wow.
And then all of this.
I mean, how surprised were you when you heard about Wendell?
Man, one surprised the heck out of me because Wendell just one of those people that's always laughing, happy-go-lucky, you know what I'm saying? You know, so it was all positivity every time we talked. So when I heard of that, it was a shock, man.
Wow. Well, hopefully we get the good word tonight, you know.
That's what I'm praying now. He's gonna be all right. He's gonna be all right. He's been holding on strong. I mean, if his faith's still strong, our faith got to be strong too, man. You know?
That's right.
If he can keep his head up, we got to keep our head up for him, you know? I think something good gonna come from him. He's just a good dude, man. He a good dude, so.
I said, wait till he gets back.
Oh,
he's
man.
He's gonna inspire a lot of people.
You know, to have to endure something like that and you know you're an innocent man. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Wendell a different dude, man. He a different dude. I mean, he ain't just strong physically, he's strong mentally. You know what I mean?
Time seemed to stand still that night. 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Yet somehow, hours passed. We said prayers, braided more braids, danced a few more dances, paced on the porch. Finally, around 10:15, Antoinette's phone began to ring. She said it was the consulate. All of us gathered around her and waited.
Yes. Call me right back after you talk to him. Guilty 4 years.
What?
And Wendell appealed it.
They give him time.
So they're gonna hold him in detention and until they set up a date for the appeal.
Guilty. 4 years. You could feel the air go out of the room. We came into the night hoping it would end with Wendell boarding a flight home. This hope, this faith, is all we had. Now we had a verdict. 4 years. We sat in silence as the weight of the judge's decision set in. Accounting for time served, that was another 2 years in jail for Wendell. Antoinette excused herself. She walked to her bedroom and closed the door. As everyone started to process what we had just heard, silence turned to anger.
That don't make no sense. It's like, the thing is, if y'all can get some young boys out who have a higher status, then you should be able to get him out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is the same type of status, just on a lower level. Like, there's no reason why he should still be serving for some shit that he didn't do.
Wait a minute, the young boy?
The young boys that have got out.
Anger over the difference in the way that the U.S. government intervened for the UCLA players, yet seemingly did so little for Wendell.
Yeah.
UCLA, that was that's why they got out. See, he not, and I hate to say it, but I'm going to keep it. Young, black,
yeah.
Dark black.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big, strong, and he was dating one of them. That's the difference. Unfortunately, I mean, that's just what it is.
It is.
Not saying that the world is like that, but I think over there it's like that.
Wendell's family members believe that if Wendell went to a different college, or came from a rich family, or if he were lighter skinned, not necessarily white, but a lighter skinned black man, in any of those scenarios, perhaps the verdict would have turned out differently, or the U.S. government would have done more. The hypotheticals gave us a place to point our anger, but ultimately, no hypothetical could change the reality. I stepped outside to get some air, and as I did, my phone rang.
There were so many supporters that they had to, open up another room next door because, there are people who signed up, then they had to be on the list, and then there are people who, showed up who was not on the list.
It's Sheree, telling me how it went.
So there was overflow room where you can watch the footage on the screen, and but I think everybody's just kind of confused because it happened so quickly. We were kind of looking around, like, well, what just happened? And I don't think anybody really knew exactly until the judge asked him, does he want to apply for an appeal? And he said yes. Kind of the realization hit, like, oh my God, because the way they were wording it, it felt like they were saying, okay, well, at first I thought they were saying we're sentencing him to 2 years. And then we were like, oh no, it's not 2 years already, it's an additional 2 years.
That's pretty deflating. I mean, just to get the news is deflating, but to think you might have had the victory and then have that happen is rough.
Right, exactly. Even as we were walking in, they were, of course, because that place is so backwards, they just automatically assume any foreign faces here for him, and so they were kind of ushering us around and, checking us and monitoring us and just more closely than anyone else.
I'm happy to hear there was a crowd to support Wendell, but I just can't picture what this is like for him.
After the verdict, we were standing around. A court officer came out and said that if there was a family member who wanted to speak with Wendell, we will allow that to happen. We'll give you 10 minutes. And I raised my hand and said, yes, I'm his family member, and yes, I want to go speak to him. They show a black person and, two black people, of course you're related, so.
Right, right.
Right, of course. I'm being very sarcastic, but but they didn't, they didn't question it. You've seen a court where you have like this kind of little, I don't know, like a little wooden gate or whatever, where people are sitting and watching, and then between that, the divide. So he's on that side where the judges and everything was sitting. He was sitting. They sat him down. He was flanked by 2 or 3 security guards. I was sitting there on the next to the 2 members of the council, and as well as the court officer who I guess negotiated this meeting. So it wasn't a private meeting at all. And so we were face to face, and the majority of the conversation was, I just wanted him to talk. There was really nothing I could say because I was so, devastated. So the few minutes of the conversation was him telling me to stop crying. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
And, he's trying to console me, and I couldn't really, get any words out because I was so upset and crying. Now, I was the first person that he was able to speak with outside of an attorney and consulate representatives and a judge in almost 2 years. The only thing I could get out was, I failed you and I'm sorry. And I told him that. And of course, Wendell, being Wendell, was like, no, you didn't. Don't say that. Don't think that. I know you're out here grinding, which means you're working hard. That's illegal.
Right.
I know you're out here grinding. I know you're out here trying and doing your best. And, as we're saying, saying something over and over again. He said that I should be here. I should be innocent, but this is a bigger situation. It's bigger than us. And, justice will prevail.
Yeah.
He was angry. I could see it in his eyes, the way he spoke. He was angry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because I was like, I think like I said, I couldn't really speak much, but I was just like, have you eaten? Are you getting? Because we had put money in his books and stuff. I said, are you getting the money in his books? Are you eating? He was like, he's like, yeah, but I don't care about, getting money for snacks. I care about being free.
It's a tough night. The emotions are really difficult to capture. Eventually, Antoinette joined us back in the living room.
When I first got the phone call, I was praying, like always, that the news was going to be good. When the counsel had explained to me, it was a guilty verdict, 4 years. I just basically dropped the phone like, what? How 4 years guilty of what? Still, I don't understand what he's guilty of. That's the whole thing. They didn't have any evidence to prove that he was guilty of anything. They had everything they needed from the lawyers during the trial to prove his innocence. Guilty of what? That's what I'm still wondering. What is he guilty of? It's devastating. It's devastating to my mother, my father, his other grandparents, our entire family. It's just, I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken. I'm strong. I'm going to continue to fight for my son. He's going to continue to fight for himself. We have a lot of amazing people that's fighting for us and with us. And I'm praying that justice will be served.
Yes.
By then, Antoinette had talked to Sheree and to a representative at the U.S. consulate. She called Wendell's grandfather and Grandma Peggy. I asked her how she felt about Sheree being able to talk to Wendell after the verdict.
It made me feel good that she was close enough to be able to hug him, even though they didn't allow him to hug her, but to know she was close enough with my son for me. It made me feel good because she's talking for me, for him.
So it's going to be probably a long night or not much sleep tonight, I'm guessing.
Right, another sleepless night for me, another sleepless night.
It felt like time to head home. I give Antoinette another hug, we say a quick prayer, and I drive back to the hotel to process the heartbreaking news.
Hey, it's Jake Halpern. We have a new limited series on my podcast, Deep Cover, out now, all about George Santos.
It's like, Mr. Ripley meets Catch Me If You Can. I mean, the guy hoodwinked everyone.
How did George Santos convince everyone that he was someone else? And how deep do his lies go? Listen to Deep Cover George Santos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
So has your phone just been going crazy or what?
All night. I didn't go to bed till 6 a.m. and I got a couple of hours of sleep, and then I was back up and back at it.
It was a long, sleepless night, just as Antoinette predicted. But there was little time to reflect. The next morning, we had a full lineup of media appearances. ESPN, The Today Show, and local news channels wanted to speak with me and Antoinette.
But my phone was going off all night. I still have so many messages I haven't returned.
Yeah.
So many people I didn't get to talk to and thank,
And it's a lot of media now, right?
Yeah, we got so many meetings today, it's ridiculous. I had to take off work.
And now you're off to an interview now, and then you have an interview at 3, right?
Yeah.
Or 5?
And Detroit Free Press, and Michigan Radio, and Channel 7.
Well, it's good. I mean, it's all about this awareness. So what you're doing today is very valuable. Very valuable.
Yes.
As I watched Antoinette being interviewed throughout the day, I was continually impressed by her strength and resilience.
This morning, the mother of an American held in a Chinese prison is speaking out.
It's been devastating. It's been so hard for us all.
UCLA basketball players were freed after being accused of shoplifting in China, the Trump administration ultimately securing their release.
What's good, my baby?
Now, Brown's mother hopes renewed attention can help bring her son home, hoping President Trump can personally intervene.
I have faith that he can help Wendell. If he will is the question.
So, Ron, what does the family think is behind all this? Why is he being held? And to your earlier point, what is the U.S. government doing about this?
Well, Willie, the family sees this as little more than an extortion attempt gone bad. As for our government, the State Department tells NBC News that they have met with Wendell Brown monthly. They just saw him in May, and that they also are meeting with Chinese counterparts to make sure he's being treated fairly. That's back up to you.
Interesting to see if the U.S. government steps in here. Ron, thanks so much.
Antoinette had become something she never wanted to be, a seasoned media pro. She nailed the interviews. As we're driving to another studio, Antoinette's phone rings. It's her grandson calling, Wendell's son.
You all right? Don't cry. Don't cry, please don't cry. You gonna make me cry. We not finished fighting. We not finished fighting. Stop crying, little man. We have to stay strong for your daddy, and because he's staying strong for us. So please don't cry. Grandma, I love you. You know, I'm still doing everything I can. We still fighting to get him home. It's not going to be 4 years. He already been there almost 2, and we're going to try to make sure we get him out of there before that. So we got the government involved. Just don't cry, my baby. Just continue to pray for him. You know, keep your head up. You know, your grandma, I'm just hurt right now that I know you hurt too. I love you so much, you know. You hear me? You hear me, my baby? I'm with Matt. Matt is still helping us.
We're working to help your dad. How are you, buddy? We're gonna fight for your dad. We're gonna get him home. Okay. We're gonna get him home. And Dan here too. Hey, Dan's working on it too.
Dan is with us too.
We're gonna get him back very soon.
So y'all gonna meet with ESPN?
Yes. Yeah. And we got several interviews today. The Today Show, the Detroit Free Press, the Channel 7 News. We got so many interviews because everybody is upset about this verdict. You know? So, not just us, the world. So, just keep your head and continue to pray for your dad. We love you so much. I'm going to call you back once I leave up out of here. I shouldn't be in here no more than 30 minutes at the most. I love you. All right. Bye-bye.
Overhearing this call, it just hit me all over again. This family never asked to be in this position. Antoinette has no training in international policy or media or any of this. She didn't have a team of lawyers at her disposal. She doesn't have the fame of LeVar Ball or the power of UCLA behind her. She's a mom, a grandmother, just trying to get her family through this, to get her son home in one piece. With Antoinette at the helm, we were finally getting the media attention we needed. And yet, we all wondered, what if it's too late? What more can be done? For that, I turned back to Sheree.
Well, I can tell you, it did his family good to know that you got time with him. It really did.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks strong. I know he's been complaining about losing a lot of weight, but Wendell's he's a football player. He's very big and strong,
So now we wait for an appeal, and they said that date should be coming pretty soon.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting and anticipating them to, because they want to keep up this so-called 99.9% conviction rate. I anticipate that being denied, which is why I'm really hoping that something can be done that we, in the meantime, that we can work out something where he can be deported.
Sophia told us he'd be able to appeal, and he'd be assigned new judges for the appeal. That's what Sheree and I were talking about on this call.
That was kind of what I was hoping was going to happen. Even at this verdict, I thought, okay, in order to save face, they're going to give this verdict, but then privately, like a thief in the night, they'll just usher him out of the country. That was kind of what I was thinking, but I was surprised. The only thing that country understands is money.
Remember how Wendell was offered the chance to pay his way out back when he was first arrested? Basically, in China, a victim can request to be paid, almost like the accused has the option to pay or go to trial. At first, the victim asked for $300,000, then $200,000, then $100,000. Antoinette didn't have that kind of money, and Wendell went to trial and then sat in prison just waiting for a verdict. Well, now that there is a verdict, we have one and maybe two cards to play. First, we can appeal, and those wheels are already in motion. Second, we might have the opportunity to revisit paying the quote-unquote victim. After all, China is about saving face. Wendell has been ruled guilty, upholding their 99% conviction rate. For us, it's now just about how do we get him out. We couldn't just sit there and let him languish in prison for another 2 more years. Maybe if we could get the money together, there was still an outside shot at essentially buying Wendell's way out. We'd at least have to give it a try. On the next episode of Game Plan, a new plan comes together, and with no time to waste, as Wendell's struggles only intensifies. Game Plan is hosted by Matt Liston, executive producer Anjay Nagpal and Matt Liston, story editor and senior producer Danielle Elliott, producer Nicole Cohn, editing, sound design, music by Gerard Bauer and Sam Bauer, associate producer Kinsey Clark, show art by Sarah Eichenberger, marketing by Brandon Getchus, production legal by Bruns, Brennan, and Barry, legal clearance fair use by Rachel Strom and Davis Wright Tremaine. Special thanks to Ball State University, Scott Cronick, Jason Whitlock, and the City of Detroit. From Entropy Media, executive producers Anjay Nagpal, Gerard Bauer, and Josh Fuelestead. Head of operations is Nunya Ebo. Associate producer Heidi Rudvots. Development and production support Simona Kussler. Please consider making a donation to Brown Elite Youth Elevation Foundation. In memoriam, Irma Brown, Raymond Brown, and Annie Murrell.
Hey, it's Jake Halpern. We have a new limited series on my podcast, Deep Cover, out now, all about George Santos.
It's like, Mr. Ripley meets Catch Me If You Can. I mean, the guy hoodwinked everyone.
How did George Santos convince everyone that he was someone else? And how deep do his lies go? Listen to Deep Cover George Santos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.